but I wouldn't be the person I am without the friendship of President Bono, who I met at the 1999 leadership seminar. And I kind of knew then that he had the stuff that it takes to be where he is now. And Dr. Mao, who I've known for even a longer period of time, I like to say that he's like a father figure to me. He doesn't like that. He likes older brother better than father figure. There you go. And since I'm aging gracefully to eventually one day be an old geezer, I'll claim that as the older brother right now. Before I get started though, I got to get this out of my system so I can focus. Now this will always be remembered as the butt-clenching convention. I'm not even going to go and explain that so people see the video or whatever they hear, but what is he talking about? No, I'll just leave that where it is. And my favorite part was these books were made for talking. Now that was, talk about an environment where people feel safe. When you get the director of library services to play a ukulele with his own, that's awesome, awesome. I must admit that it is indeed a pleasure to be here with Amy and Shane Bursch. Serving with them on the national board was a joy. I regret that I'm no longer a board member of this organization since I'm staff, but meeting the exciting board members that this organization has had throughout the years has been one of the things that have really made me feel extremely special. And again, I would be remiss if I didn't also say that one of those individuals was Carlos Savant. Carlos Savant was on the national board when I was elected, and I remember my first board meeting. I walked into the room and he gave me the biggest hug. And again, that's that welcoming spirit of the Federation. And I'm glad that we still share a friendship. Equal to the introduction that was given, many people don't recognize the impact that they have on you because you don't give them awards or you don't express it in a real way. The old geezer comment I was talking about was related to the banquet in 2006. I'm glad you remember what year. I had forgotten what year. But I was relatively new. I thought it was early in my board career than that. You would think I would have been a little bit more refined being at that for at least 2 years prior to this. But oh man, I tell you, I got up and I gave my banquet speech and I talked about the generation gap. And I talked about, I guess at one point, that the old geezers or whatever. When I sat down, Barbara, who was emceeing the convention, she got with the most authentic old lady voice I had ever heard in my life. Talking about, I went under the table. I was in tears laughing. I was like, I'm going to get kicked off the board. But even before that, I always marveled at Barbara. Barbara was one of the individuals that, again, you don't notice that people are watching you when you do stuff. She would read the notes that would go up to the president at the convention table before he announced them. So she was proofing and vetting them and that kind of thing. And I just always marveled at how much trust he must have had in her to do that. Because I know the type of nonsense that comes through that people try to get up to get the national president to say from the dais. So that in itself, it's these little small things that when you know what you know, you recognize how important and valued the people are. And for her to have that responsibility really signifies a lot of trust. And I've come to grow to love her, and because of that, I have to love Brad. I just don't have a choice.
We all feel the same way.
Yeah. But Brad, is teaching me to age gracefully. So I appreciate him being my mentor into this new part of my life.
Older brother would be okay.
Another older brother. Here I am, still fatherless. Another key thing I want to point out is I have really, you guys, again, you don't get out much, so you don't recognize how much this is valued. In the meetings proper, I've heard the pledge being offered at every gathering, and not just by one person. You guys know the pledge. That's just amazing to me. So many people don't recognize. Yeah, absolutely, you should about that. So many of our members know of the pledge, but you only get that unified voice when and abide by its constitution. That's what everybody gets in. But from beginning to end, you guys are in and strong. And I'm hoping that the same thing will happen when this group gets their hands and arms and hearts around our new 1 minute message, which simply goes, the National Federation of the Blind knows that blindness is not the characteristic that defines you or your future. Every day we raise expectations because we realize it's those low expectations that create obstacles between you and your dreams. You can live the life you want. Blindness is not what holds you back. That to me is so powerful. I mean, it gets into my gut. I know that a lot of people think, oh, one more thing to remember. No, don't remember it. I mean, feel it. I mean, listen to the words and recognize that that's exactly who we are as an organization. It's a nice, simple way of making sure that when we express to people outside of the organization who we are and what we stand for and how we do it, to me, it took a lot of time and effort to synergize those words because we tried to merge the views and the feelings of so many people that were in that little focus group. It was more than little. We actually interviewed several people, many people throughout the organization on a nationwide level. But I'm really hoping that you will embrace that 1 minute message because I think it really does define or state who we are as an organization. The part I like about it most is we raise expectations every day. We raise expectations because that's what the organization did for me. It took me out of the perception that I was the best thing that ever happened to blindness. Really, because the people that were teaching me to read 33 words per minute in Braille and rote travel and orientation mobility and to live by cooking in a microwave, they made me think that, man, blind people can't do that. You're amazing. And I believed it. But when I met the Federation let me know how average at best I was in a way that raised the expectation for me to be better. So when I sat down in front of Jerry Whittle at LCB and he said that 33, 40 words per minute is not enough, I want you reading 120 before you leave here, they set the expectation. I didn't meet the 120 then, but I met it now. When I went to Maryland Whittle, yeah, absolutely, because that's all of you that was doing that for me, and I appreciate it. And I told her I was cooking chicken pot pie. She laughed, and if you heard Marilyn Whittle's laugh, you would know how much joy there is in it and how much it makes you say, yeah, I better get a little better. And when I sat down in front of Josh in the Access Tech room, I thought I was the man. And he taught me how to do Word in a new way, use Excel, which I never used before, and even PowerPoint, which I thought was inaccessible as a visual medium for presentations. But every day, we raise expectations. More than that, as President Ricobono says, we give blind people the opportunity to fail. All right, listen to what I'm saying. We give blind people an opportunity to fail. That sounds so stupid. I always want someone to fail. Well, we don't want anyone to fail. But if you don't give someone an opportunity to test their limits in a place where there's a real potential that they could actually fail, they're not really being pushed to their limits. And we don't put them out there in a kamikaze mission. We give them the opportunity to fail by pursuing what they really want to pursue, but we provide the encouragement and support that will hopefully make sure that they are successful. But if perchance they do happen to fail, we as an organization even turn that into a learning opportunity. We help people learn from their failures, have strength enough to go back and try it again, and then they can turn that failure into a success. And we do that as an organization. When I say we, I mean each and every person in this room does that because you're a member of the National Federation of the Blind. In our new branding effort, we talk about our brand personality. I talked about how we are an organization more so a family, and a family of people, and people have personalities. And our personality as an organization, contrary to what people may think, is one that's very inspiring. Not in that way that I thought that I was amazing, and inspiring to everyone because I could get up and tie my shoes. But in a way that's inspiring to let people know that despite the obstacles that are in our way, we're going to continue to persevere. In a way that's not a victimized manner, but in a way that's proactive and participatory, so that we recognize that we control our own destinies, that our future is in our own hands, and woe to the person that tries to tell us differently. It's an inviting environment. A lot of people don't think it's inviting. I personally didn't think that it was inviting. The rookies heard my story. The students at the National Convention heard my story. I don't even know why I'm a member of this organization based on my first interaction. I did not come to an organization like the one you have here. My first invitation to the Federation was someone telling me to get out of the seat where the Georgia flag was at the National Convention. No, hi, how are you? Is this your first convention? Welcome, it's good to see you. You can't sit there. So I just moved to Hawaii. And I enjoyed the National Convention from Hawaii. We're innovative. That's part of our personality. Who else, recognizes that young people can't read printed information and goes out and partners with a genius and develops a technology that turns print into synthetic speech. We do that. The Federation does that. Now, a lot of people get confused because they get a different perspective of who we are as an organization. You've heard them. You've probably been one of them before you came into the organization. Those radical, angry, no. We can be radical when necessary. We can be angry when we feel that people aren't valuing our input. But that's just a reflection of our power. Our power as an organization. I told you during the national report, there's no other organization that has the ability, well, I have to admit, since I'm moving into this space, AARP is able to do it, but very few others are. If Congress introduces a bill, I told you this, and we don't like it, if they introduce it on Monday, by Tuesday they've heard, 90 to 95% of them have heard personally, by email, by text, by someone actually maybe knocking on their door and giving them our feelings on what they talked about in the halls of Congress. And we do that. We raise expectations. We give people the opportunity to fail. Yeah. Let me clarify a little bit about how we give people an opportunity to fail. You heard these wonderful students earlier talk about their youth slam experience. And everybody talks about what a wonderful job we do in STEM, and we do a wonderful job in STEM. But it's not just teaching kids to build and launch rockets and dissect sharks and build bridges. We're helping them become whole blind people. So much of what we do behind the scenes impacts those kids, and they don't even know it. There was one young lady there. She was blind, and she also had 60% hearing loss. So she's effectively deafblind. And those of you who haven't been to the National Convention, we use something called Marshall. So we had the students going from the dormitory to the classrooms and to the lunchroom. And that's a pretty good walk, maybe about half a mile. And we're not talking about Marshall that every step they hear somebody. We put the Marshall so that they have a chance to actually walk independently, right? So there was some time when they're walking that they don't hear a Marshall. You only hear a Marshall validating that you're going in the right direction. And they're saying, all right, breakfast this way. Yeah, so this young lady headed out for breakfast. And we got a phone call. I don't know how we did it before cell phones, but we made sure all the kids had the number to the hotline. And she told them that she was lost. So I was running the marshals. They radioed me, gave me her phone number. I kind of figured where she was, so I headed back to the dorms, and I called her on the way. So she answered, and I'm thinking this is going to be this hysterical young lady, right? No. She answered the phone, hello? I'm like, this is Anil with the Youth Slam. Are you lost? Yes. Okay, well, this makes my job a little bit easier. I don't have to worry about calming her down. So I said, so did you hear a bell? Because one of our marshals early on has a bell. She said, I think so. And then I said, okay, they may not be really definitive. I said, did you go down some steps? Because there's one area beyond the bells that goes down steps. She says, yes, I remember that. So based on my back and forth with her, I kind of pinned down where she was on the route, right? So we sent a marshal, we dispatched a marshal to find her, and the marshal found her. And rather than rushing her back to safety, the marshal took this young lady back to the path where she had come off the route, showed her what she did wrong, showed her how to, check her mobility skills, give her the information that she needs to pay attention to. And for the rest of that week, that young lady was dead on. From A to B, she was there. Walking by herself. We gave her the opportunity to fail. First of all, in any other program, deafblind would not even be given the opportunity to travel independently. So we gave her that opportunity to fail. Secondly, once that happened, there would have been a lot. Never would have let her travel alone, would have had someone with her every moment of every day. No, that's not the way we were built. We recognize that in order to grow and in order to become better, you have to have the opportunity to fail, learn from those failures, and then reinforce that with that positive success over and over again. And that's what all of you did, not even knowing it, to almost 100 kids who don't even know that you did it. So on behalf of them, thank you. Thank you very much. One of the things I like to do with my friends, so hopefully you want to be one of my friends, you like to tell on them. So Dr. Mauer, who I love and adore and respect, was telling me the story because I wanted to know, when did you start using a white cane? I thought he always used one. He was one of those individuals who didn't use a cane. I think he didn't start using his cane until he was in college. I'm not really sure. But he tells the story that he was walking around because he didn't need any cane. And he fell into a hole. And so he said Then by and by, he tried to get out, couldn't get out, so it was a substantial hole. This guy came along, and he had been like a campus police officer or whatever, and he says, here, let me help you out of here. What are you doing? He says, oh man, I just felt, he said, you should probably use a cane. And Dr. Brown says, I don't need a cane. What do I need a cane for? And maybe if you would have had one, you wouldn't have fallen into this hole. So it goes to show you that even the man who I admire for his mobility skills today had to grow into that place. He didn't evolve into a place where he was a successful independent traveler. That story always reminds me of a story that really is very telling about who we are as an organization. And maybe many of you have heard it, but hopefully there's someone in the room who hasn't, so I don't want it to be wasted. So there was a man that walked along, and he found himself falling into a hole. He couldn't get out no matter how hard he tried. As he yelled for help, a minister came by. The minister said, oh, my son, what has happened to you? Father, I've fallen down the hole. Can you help me? He says, here, I will pray for you. And he prayed for him and he walked away. After a while went by, a doctor came. The doctor came, he says, oh, doc, please help me out of the hole. The doctor says, oh, wow, that's pretty substantial. You must have injured yourself. Don't worry, I'm a qualified medical professional. Here's my card. When you get out of the hole, come see me. And he walked away. By and by, a lawyer came by. Looked down the hole. Oh, will you please help me? The lawyer looked down and said, wow, you've got a lawsuit here, my friend. You're going to be rich. Here's my card. When you get out, you come see me. We're going to sue the city. And he walked away. And then came another guy. No credentials, no bona fides. Just a nice guy who's lived his life. And he came by and says, bruh, can you help me? And the guy looked at him and said, wow. And he jumped down in the hole. He says, you idiot. I've been in this hole for hours now. People come by and no one help. Now we're both stuck in this hole. And the guy looked at him and said, you're all right, my friend. I've been in this hole before. I know the way out. And that's what we do. We've all been in that hole, right? I mean, I know I have. When my vision is taken away from me, and I fall into a depression, redefining my life, wondering if I'll ever be the man that I had really chosen to be. We've all been there. But because of the National Federation of the Blind, we know the way out. We know the way out. And we can't be selfish with that knowledge. We have to make sure that as we move forward, that we help others find their way out of this hole. So how do we do it? How do we do it in a real way? We get them vested in what we call the 5 essential elements of success. To oversimplify what we do as an organization, to make it in a more kind of systematic fashion, first and foremost, that essential element is we have to make sure that they're okay with being blind. Part of my evolution in this organization was coming out of the vernacular of, oh no, I'm legally blind. No, I just have low vision. There were others that were into that whole space. I'm capable, not handicapped. And, oh no, I'm a super blind person. No, it's just blind. Because when you do that, then it normalizes the disability into something that we can all kind of internalize in a way that we can deal with it, right? It's one of those many characteristics of me. And I know this is an oversimplification for those who are right there, because I do truly remember how it was. If someone would come to me at that point in 1989, 1990, and they said, oh, it's just a characteristic, I would say, I'll tell you what you can do with your characteristic. So I know it's hard, but it is real that at one point you can, if you really buy into the philosophy of the organization, recognize that I'm black, I'm blind, I'm tall, as you can see by the microphone height. It's just one of the many things that make up who I am. It's not something that defines me. It doesn't define my future. It doesn't make me successful or unsuccessful. It's just something that I have to deal with. That's that first essential element that we have to get people to deal with. That second essential element is we have to get individuals to master the alternative skills of blindness. Because that's when it really starts paying off, right? It becomes a characteristic. It becomes a mere nuisance when you recognize that the skills that you need in order to get those things done that you always did are still there, right? And when I say master, I mean master. I don't mean go to a week program and they give you a white cane and all of a sudden you think that you can travel independently. No. Our programs really ascribe to a 6 to 9 month training regimen under sleep shades, regardless of what your visual acuity is, simply because if you can do it without vision, whatever little vision you have is gravy. And it takes away the fear of eventually going blind. See, that was wrong with me. I had retinitis pigmentosa. Over the weekend, I lost enough significant vision so that I could no longer read my computer screen at work. How foolish would it have been for me to say, oh no, I can get a CCTV and Zoom text and large print and I'll be just fine. If that was what would have happened, that next month, that intervention would not have been useful. And the years subsequent to that would have been even more horrific. Because now I only have light perception. But with that light perception, it's still gravy, because I know that even if I go totally blind, I'm still going to be all right. Because I've mastered and continue to attempt to master those alternative skills of blindness. Braille is essential. Orientational ability is essential. Using access technology is essential. And you have to do it in a way that makes sure that you can be competitive, not with other blind people, but with the side of society. Because those are the ones that you have to be competing with for scholarships, competing with for jobs. So master those alternative skills in a real way. Master them. The third essential element is to cope with those public perceptions. That's the thing that's ever going. No matter how confident I become in Braille and travel and access tech, every time I leave my house, I'm going to run into an idiot. Come on now. Y'all not listening to me. No, that never happens to me. Every time I walk around, everybody understands that I'm a fully capable person in society. No. It's just ridiculous out there what you have to deal with. But you have to deal with it in a way that's respectful. I hate that too, though, because it's up to me to make sure that I'm the good guy regardless of what nonsense I'm exposed to. I'm standing on the street corner, waiting on the bus. This guy pulls his car over like someone just dropped me off on the street somewhere and left me there, because now he's going to be my savior. He wants to help me cross the street. I do not want to cross the street. He's grabbing me, pulling me with 2 feet into the street now. I'm like, I don't want to cross the street. No, sir, I'm going to help you, Mr. Good Samaritan, God bless him. He wouldn't let me go. I'm a big guy. He's still pulling. I tried, sir, no, this is how I do this. He's not listening. I punch him in the chest. He lets me go. I go back to the corner, I wait on my bus. I tried, I was reasonable, I was respectful, he was persistent, but I'm the bad guy, right? How inconsiderate. I was only trying to help you. Oh, you have to learn to cope with those public attitudes. They're not always that hard. Sometimes they're simple and sometimes they're fun. I love this story. President Rick Bono was walking with his family. He's blind, his wife is blind, his son is sighted, and his 2 daughters are blind. But there's a family walking through the neighborhood. Here's Good Samaritan. Oh, I wish I was Jesus. I don't know how I would have dealt with it, but I knew I wouldn't have been good as classic as this. President Rick Bono stops, turns to the gentleman and says, don't we all? I love it. But we got to learn to cope with those public attitudes, because it's not going to change. Because people are born every day and they're instilled with the misconceptions about our capacity, our desire to make us their recipients of their benevolence, that we're their gateway to heaven. Look at what I did for the poor, pitiful, blind person. We got to learn to do that in a way that maintains our respect and helps us maintain our dignity. The fourth essential element is very similar to that one, but it's more direct. It's about blending in. We got to teach blind people how to blend in. If you're the person that you walk in and everybody loves you because, man, you are the blind guy, you're the coolest blind guy, that's not going to get you very far, because now you're just a novelty. You're not respected as a peer. You're the guy that you want to hear a good joke, but when they have to get a crisis thing done on the job, they're not going to pick you for the team. We got to make sure that blind people blend in the way we're respected for our full participation and our true ability. So when you're on the team and people say, I know this sounds so stupid, sometimes I forget you're blind. Okay, first, you probably need to look for some new friends if that's your friend saying that, because I like brighter friends. When I have my white cane, I want you to know that's what that's for. Yeah, still blind. But if you get them to the point where they at least recognize that you have other talents and abilities that make you important outside of the fact that you're different than them, then you're blending in. And we encourage people to do that. The fifth and final element, which is so important, and if we do this right, we've done a good thing. After we as an organization have worked with blind people to get them to the point where they recognize that it's okay to be blind, they've mastered and are mastering those alternative skills of blindness, because that's an ongoing task. They learn how to cope with the public attitudes, and they learn to start blending in. If we can get them to the point where now they want to turn around and give that back to another blind person, we all win. That fifth element, yeah, absolutely, that's the one that you need to. That fifth element is what makes us strong. That's the manifestation of the love. That's the true power of the organization. Because you have to love someone to take away time from your busy day, because we're all busy. Busier today than back in those days. Okay, I'm gonna behave. I was gonna make an old geezer joke. Well, not good. Not gonna do it. Not yet. But before it's over, I probably will. But when we get to the point that we've gotten people to do that, you only do that because you love, right? Because you're not getting paid for it in most instances. It's sometimes very much an inconvenience, right? But we want you to do it because that's when it happens. So I want to take the time to make a plug for our career mentoring program. I talked a little bit to the seniors about this, but I need all of you to know it. Carlos mentioned it a little bit on the main stage. We've done this informally for years. I told you about the mentors in my life, and they did it without a structure. They did it because they loved. But what if we take that love and we put it into a mentoring matrix that actually is designed to actually impact in a real way the lives of blind youth? So in simple forms, if someone asks the question, is it going to take away from the program that's existed here? No, we wouldn't want to do that. If there's programming that works, we want to just make it better. So what about the wages program when you have the students coming in, they're working, right? And they're getting that exposure, and they're getting all this learning, but then they leave. What happens then, right? So what if what happens then is they've been assigned several mentors that in between these wonderful programs that are being operated, that they're talking to people on an almost daily basis. And they have individuals that have similar interests to them, similar academic ambitions, but also individuals who are doing something completely different so they can get exposed to a different job type or a different academic pursuit. And also other individuals who can help them deal with, how do I get my parents to give me a little bit more independence? You know, we're going to surround them with the Federation in a way that makes sure that no blind child gets left behind. We're going to make sure that they, that they benefit from the expertise that we have just simply through our life experience. You didn't even know it, but everybody in this room has a PhD in blindness because you've been attending the University of the National Federation of the Blind. We want to make sure that as a result of that, you have to use that degree in order to maintain your certification. You're going to have to continue to go through perpetual training by mentoring other blind youth in what we do. I want to take a minute to say publicly, like I said at the student division, that Stacy, you're benchmarking yourself against what's happened in the past. We were having a meeting with the students, and Stacy was presenting in a way that she felt that the student division was not as powerful, as strong as it has been in the past. Well, the student divisions ebb and flow based on the influx of students, because students are not, if we do it right, students are not in school forever. And it took me 10 years to get my undergraduate degree. It took me 10 years to get my graduate degree. But we don't want that for every blind person. We want them to go through a more normal matriculation, I would think. So in that instance, the student division is going to perpetually evolve. And as I told her, the strength of what you're doing is you're keeping it alive now. And you're putting things in place that's going to make it grow in the future. And that's what we have to do. We have to continue to make sure that we keep our hands on the wheel and drive this vehicle to its proper destination. And if we can pick up people on the way, it's all gravy. It's all gravy. So Stacy, stay strong. We love you. We support you. And we're going to give you the opportunity to fail. How about that? I'd be remiss if I didn't comment on one thing that I found that was so profound. And really, in my kind of sad, but Amy says she'll give me time to kind of amp it back up again tomorrow, so I don't feel as bad about leaving you with this, but I think it's something that's important. An individual here was telling me that she was engaged in, it wasn't an IEP proper, but it was an educational environment situation where she was observing another professional working with a blind student. And the blind student was doing a task, and I guess at that point, feeling fairly confident in their task. So just wanted to get a reality check from the instructor, how am I doing? And the instructor, rather than giving anything really, I think, motivating or supportive for the direction to be proud and move forward, was, I'm doing all right. Yeah, that's the kind of teacher that you want in your environment, right? But then it gets worse, because the student then says, well, so how are you doing? Trying to get that benchmark, am I, doing as good as you, maybe? And the teacher says, well, there's one big difference between you and me. You see, my eyes work. Yeah, sucks. But that's real, and it's every day. And it's more pervasive than it needs to be. And the only way that's going to change is we have to exercise the fifth essential element. We got to get out there and be proactive. We got to get back. We got to get active in these lives of these students, of these young people, because if we don't, we're going to create a generation of blind people that takes us back centuries. And we can't afford to do that because we've made way too much progress. I know that I can count on you. I know that we have the energy and the love of the Federation in this room, and when that call comes out, that you're going to answer it. You're going to step up. You're going to help this young blind person and many others live the lives they want. Because if not you, then who? I really have enjoyed being here. Looking forward for Sunday. It'll be bittersweet, but I recognize that I'm leaving a Federation family that recognizes the true value of what we say when we say that together with love, hope, and determination, we can transform dreams into reality. And it is real to me when I say I am filled with hope, energy, and love by participating in the National Federation of the Blind, because every day my expectations are raised. I recognize that my contributions make a difference to myself and to others. And in a real way, I can celebrate the accomplishments that I have and you have together with my Federation family. Thank you all for your time and attention.